Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of In Pit Lane. Well, as you can see, we're not in the studios of RMIT University once again. We were back for one night only, unfortunately. Yes, we're back under lockdown again, sadly, and we're here at the corporate headquarters of In Pit Lane overlooking the shores of beautiful Lake Geneva. And just between you and me, quite frankly now, I'm sick to bloody death of the beautiful shores of Lake Geneva. But anyway, we're here, it is what it is, and we're going to bring you all the news from the weekend in motorsport and a whole lot more. Our guest tonight is going to join us from Le Mans in France. He's a young Australian driver who is currently second in the French Formula 4 Championship. Good friend of the show. He's been with us many times over his very short but very successful career. He is Hugh Barter. But right now it's been a big weekend in international motorsport. Unfortunately, a tragic one as well. To find out all about that and more, this is the In Pit Lane Motorsport News. An historic win in the Indianapolis 500 for popular veteran Helio Castro-Neves. The Brazilian raced to his fourth Indy 500 victory, taking the lead late in the race to lead home young Spanish driver Alex Palou by less than half a second. Another former winner, Simon Pagenaud, was third.
I love Indianapolis. You guys don't understand. The fans, they give me energy. I'm serious. They don't understand. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. And from the beginning, we were so comfortable, happy. We're playing kind of like calm, but I tell you what, right now I'm just excited. The Firestone tires were absolutely on rails. I mean, the car was literally, it was incredible. I knew it was good. I knew I was gonna get a fight. I gotta have to put the elbows out, but I tell you what, man, what an incredible feeling. But I couldn't do this without my family, you know, my mom and dad in Brazil. My sister, love you guys. We did it.
Scott Mclaughlin finished back in 20th place after losing time thanks to a drive-through penalty for speeding in pit lane. Mclaughlin did walk away with the Rookie of the Year title, though it was of little consolation as he reflected on what might have been.
I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform at a very high level. That's probably why I'm so pissed off right now. You know, it's one of those things where you come here and you feel the energy in the place, and it's certainly it gives you goosebumps and wants you want to perform on the big stage. And I felt like up until that pit stop we were really solid. I felt I was saving good fuel. The car was good, and I was learning a ton. I made some pretty cool passes which I really enjoyed. I had a really good start, which was cool. I think I made it 4 wide, which was pretty interesting for a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's all a learning experience. I'll take away these learnings and tell you what, I'll always check my brake pedal before I come into pit lane.
Problems in pit lane afflicted several competitors in the race, including Australia's Will Power and Simona Di Silvestro. Pole sitter and red-hot pre-race favourite Scott Dixon's chance at victory also came to an end when the 6-time champion ran out of fuel before his first pit stop.
Driver, start your engine!
America's other big race on the weekend saw the remarkable Hendrick Motorsport juggernaut roll on as Kyle Larson won the World 600 at Charlotte, North Carolina. Woo! The 1-2 finish was the third straight for Hendrick Motorsports. Only third-place finisher Kyle Busch found a way to break up the party, with Hendrick drivers William Byron and Alex Bowman running 4th and 5th respectively. The race was without any major incidents, although Ryan Newman hit the wall after a tyre failure. The move of the race came from Kyle Busch in his fight with Ryan Blaney and Ross Chaston. But apart from that, there really wasn't a lot to get too excited about.
That was a good move. I like that. Can you tell?
A tragic weekend in MotoGP with the death of Swiss rider Jason Dupasquier after a frightening crash in qualifying for Moto3. Dupasquier crashed at the Arrabbiata 2 corner and was struck by Tech 3 rider Ayumi Sasaki. He was taken to a nearby hospital but sadly died later as a result of massive head trauma. Despite the tragedy, the racing continued, with Australian Remy Gardner dedicated his narrow win in Moto2 to the young Swiss rider. MotoGP winner Fabio Quartararo also dedicated his victory to the memory of the 19-year-old, but the decision to continue with the race after the news of Dupasquier's death did not go down well with all the riders. Ducati's Francesco Bagnaia said that the decision to continue with the event was not correct. and was difficult to accept. His teammate, Australia's Jack Miller, disagreed, however, saying that the decision to race on would have been what Jason wanted. He did, however, quite rightly criticise local TV coverage of the crash, which featured multiple unnecessary replays of the incident. Another win for Johan Christofferson and Australia's Molly Taylor at Extreme E's second event in Lac Rose Dakar in the Ocean X Prix. There was high drama in the final for the all-electric off-road racing series, with 2 of the 4 cars retiring at the first corner. This left Christofferson and Taylor to extend their championship lead. The new series now moves on to another unique venue with a trip to Greenland for the Extreme E Arctic X Prix on August 28th and 29th. And that's the In-Pit Lane Motorsport News for the week commencing Monday, the 30th of May 2021. We'll have more news next week. Yes, a very sad weekend for the world of MotoGP and the sport in general. Unfortunately, as we say and as we well know, motorsport can be dangerous. The improvements in safety have been huge over the recent decades, but unfortunately, nothing is perfect, and the sport is still certainly not without its risks, and that is very true, and particularly true in the case of motorcycle racing. Of course, our thoughts are with the family and friends of Jason, and in terms of the decision to go ahead with the race, I have no doubt that Jack Miller is correct when he's saying that Jason certainly would have wanted the meeting to continue, but I do understand, of course, the feelings of the riders who were there. It must be very difficult to continue. But on a brighter note, when we come back after this break, we're going to be joined by a young Australian who's been a guest on the program on a number of occasions. He is Hugh Barter. He's currently lying second in the French Formula 4 Championship, and we're going to join him from his home in Le Mans in France. That's when In Pit Lane returns right after this break. Don't go away. You're on Channel 31. We'll be right back. Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, our guest tonight is a young Australian whose career we've been following for a number of years now from his days in karting. He first came on the show several years ago and he impressed us instantly with his great passion and great knowledge of motorsport at all levels. A very impressive young man who is now over in France. He is the winner of the Richard Mille Scholarship, and we'll find out more about that when we talk to him. I caught up with him the other night. Now, I will just say, unfortunately, we do have a technical problem with this, once again, audio has bitten us. It was totally my fault. If you're doing a Zoom interview or anything similar, always wear headphones, and you'll hear why in just a moment. But it was a great interview nonetheless, so I hope that you will forgive us the poor sound quality at times. Huge echo, but we tried everything to get rid of it, and unfortunately it simply wasn't possible. But we did catch up with Hugh Barter from his current home in Le Mans, France, and let's hear now from Hugh Barter, currently lying second in the French Formula 4 Championship. Well, bonjour, Monsieur Barter. Comment ça va?
Ça va bien.
That's about the level of my French. How are you settling in over there, Hugh?
Yeah, it's been really good. I've been studying French for 3 years now, so I'm trying to put it to use. But yeah, everything's been going well. I finished round 1 and 2 of the French Formula 4 Championship, and we on the podium 4 out of the 6 races. So it's been really good.
So tell us about where you're located, and in terms of things, we know you're in France and you're over there for most of the year, I would imagine. So whereabouts are you located physically?
So I'm located in Le Mans, about 15 minutes away from the track, so that's pretty cool. So I'm hoping to try and watch the Le Mans 24 Hour in August this year, and so I'm looking forward to that.
You might find yourself over the next year or so having a lot of friends from Australia suddenly turn up and looking for a couch to crash on, and I could be one of them.
Maybe.
So we know that you're there because you won a scholarship. Tell us about the scholarship. What was it, and how did you win it?
Yeah, so I won the Richard Mille Young Talent Academy Scholarship, which is a scholarship basically that's given to all the real art drivers, Leclerc drivers, Ricardo kart drivers across the world. and 10 drivers from each continent come to this one meeting to test their physical, mental, your driving abilities, your how well you present yourself, and then they cut it down from 10 to 5 people, and then they cut it down from 5 to 3, and then they choose the final winner, which I was lucky enough to be. So I was really grateful for that, and especially for Michael Patrici for giving me the opportunity, and all the people who helped me get there, because last year it wasn't easy, especially with the whole Corona situation. Yeah, so it pretty much gave me a full seat for the French Formula 4 this year, with budget, management from All Road Management. So it's a really good opportunity, and so I'm trying to make the most of it this year.
You've had a couple of rounds already. You've done very well. First meeting, you actually picked up a win at your first meeting. Where are you at the moment in the series?
At the moment, I'm second in the championship. I think it's like 14 points behind the lead. So I'm hoping to close the gap down in the next race, which is at Hungary, actually. So I'm really looking forward to that one. But yeah, so second in the championship, as a rookie, I'm pretty happy with it.
Tell us about the cars you're driving over there. Of course, we had Formula 4 for a short while in Australia. I mean, very similar concept, but these are a slightly different car. Tell us about the cars that you're driving.
Yeah, so the chassis is actually basically the same thing. I think they just changed a couple of things and making the car a bit lighter. So I think it's now 575 kilo instead. 160 horsepower, Mclaughlin chassis with a Renault engine. I think 1.6 liters with a turbo. So it's got a kick to it on the bottom end, but it's a lot of fun to drive.
And what circuits have you been, apart from the 2 rounds? What circuits over there have you raced at and tested at so far?
I've been at Paul Ricard, Mclaughlin, obviously, which was the first round. Magny-Cours, Lebanon, which is I think round 5 of the championship, I think. And I think that's it, to be honest.
Paul Ricard is always one of those things. I mean, looking at it from a distance, how on earth do you find your way around there? I mean, it looks from the outside to be such a confusing circuit. I mean, with all those lines going everywhere and different layouts, how do you find your way around the place?
It's actually not that bad. Probably majority because you're sitting so low, so all the lines kind of blend into each other. So there's it's not as bad as probably what you think. I thought it was going to be bad when I arrived there, but once you get on track, it's pretty easy. But I think the track is actually not that bad. I think a lot of people don't realize how fun the first section of the track is, because it's fast. There's a lot of chicanes, and it's just really about keeping that corner speed up. So it's really cool.
Of course, yes. Over there, you're there for the year. I mean, it's a huge, it's sort of a huge upheaval for the family. I mean, it's not just yourself. So who's over there? Is it just you and your father, or is the whole family relocated?
It's myself, mum, and dad who are over here with me. Because my sister, obviously, there's no real big reason for her to come over here. But yeah, so I'm really grateful for mum and dad for coming over and helping me, because without them, I would not be able to do this. So huge thanks.
And that's really something that a lot of people do sort of forget about this. I mean, it sounds and it is very glamorous, the fact that you're over there and you're racing in Europe and all those great circuits and all the rest of it. But, I mean, the family have made, obviously huge sacrifices in order to do that. I mean, in terms of, what they're doing in terms of and making a living and all the rest of it. So what are they doing? How are they putting in the year?
As in, like, what are mum and dad doing during the year?
Yeah, well, in terms of working and all the rest of it, how are they surviving?
Yeah, so they can't really work here because of the visa that we have, because I wasn't able to get the sporting visa because I'm too young, so they aren't able to work over here. But dad's finding sponsors and helping out a huge amount there, and just mum's helping dad do some of the documentation, making newsletters here and there. So they're helping out a huge amount.
What about schooling? I mean, you're still only 15, aren't you?
Yeah, correct. So I go to VSV online, It's basically an online school that's in Australia, and I work at my own pace, at my own time. Obviously, I have to hand in work as anyone else should have to. So I work 5 days a week from 9 to 4, or 9 to 3, and then from 3 to 4, I go to the gym. And then obviously I come home and do some extra work.
Okay, we're going to take a break now on In Pit Lane on Channel 31, but when we come back, we'll be hearing more from our special guest tonight, Hugh Barter. You're watching In Pit Lane. We'll be right back after this break. The show may be over, but the motorsport chat continues with Full Course Yellow, the In Pit Lane after party. We're on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel live most Thursday nights at 9:30, straight after In Pit Lane here on Channel 31. So, why not join us? Yes, we do hope that you'll join us every Thursday night straight after In Pit Lane on Channel 31 for our live chat. Full Course Yellow, as we said, 9:30 every Thursday night. Well, our guest tonight is Hugh Barter, young Australian competing in the French Formula 4 Championship, currently sitting in second place. And Hugh, we spoke about your relocation and racing over there. Tell us about the first two rounds. You did very well. How have you found it all? And right now, I mean, who are you chasing down? Who's the current leader, and can you chase them down?
Yes, so the first race weekend was at Mclaughlin, a very complex track. It's very tight, and so you really have to nail everything. It could have gone better, definitely. I think both rounds could have gone better. With the first round, I think I qualified second, and then the first race, I had a pretty mediocre start. So I went back to like fourth at the start, and the track's like very difficult to pass. So I stayed fourth throughout the race, and then towards the end of the race, I just saved it with a tire. And then your second race is the reverse grid of the first race. So I started seventh and then finished seventh. And then race 3, I started second and had a much better start, and actually was able to get first by the first corner. Lucky enough, the guy off pole actually stalled. So it was a bit of luck, but at least I was able to hold my position from the guys from behind. And then basically from there, I just tried to keep my cool with Monsieur, who is a competitor of mine, behind me the entire race and putting on a whole bunch of pressure. So I spent I think 14 laps out in front, just trying to keep my cool and trying to not make any mistakes, because especially in the F4, it's actually really hard to be consistent and not make any mistakes. So I was really happy to take the win. And actually, it was a really surreal feeling, because you have all the Australians behind you, and yeah, it's a really cool feeling to win overseas.
So for the rest of this year, I mean, you've got the scholarship, of course, but I mean, what happens long term? You mentioned your mum and your dad looking for sponsors before. What sort of support are you getting from Australia? Not just in terms of sponsorship, but in other support as well. Are you getting much support from Australia and from, say, Motorsport Australia and people over here?
There's obviously support, as in like people who want me to do well. I don't think Motorsport Australia want to like have an unfair advantage to one of the drivers. Like they want to be able to support all of the Australian drivers who are racing overseas. So there's not much like in money wise, but they do give me a bit of coverage and say what I've been doing. I think that on the same weekend, FIA F3 was racing at Barcelona. Dylan got his podium, and I think I finished on the podium all 3 races. So they showed that, and obviously any coverage is really good for me, because it gets coverage from my sponsors and all those people who've been helping me to get where I am. Obviously, there's some Aussie companies that have been helping me, like Up and Go and Easy Up and Go, Tridel, and so on. They've been a huge help to me. So yeah, there's definitely people who are supporting me, not just in financially, but yeah, of course, money is a huge deal when it comes to motor racing.
Obviously, the long-term plan is, like everybody in your situation and all of the people you're competing against is Formula One. But I mean, in the short term, I mean, let's say you go through this, or whether you win or whether you finish in the top 3. what are you looking at for next year? I mean, what are the plans in the shorter term?
Short term next year, we want to do the Formula Regional by Alpine series. I think you may know it. I think that's a really good stepping stone because instead of just going straight from F4 to F3, which is a huge step, this is like an in between sort of stage. So it gets me to learn a car that's closer to the F3, and so that's probably the next step.
Well, we've obviously we followed your career for a long time. I mean, I think you were about 11, if not younger, the first time we had you on in pit lane all those years ago, and we followed your career all the way through. And it's great to see you over there and doing so well. I'm personally very envious of you getting to live in such a beautiful city as Le Mans and having so many adventures. As you say, next round not in France. How many rounds do you have outside of France?
Only two, unfortunately. We have Monza and Hungary, like I mentioned, and both rounds I'm really looking forward to because obviously the tracks that have been raced on by Formula One cars, and I can say that.
If for no other reason, I mean, even if it all fell apart at the end of the year for whatever reason, you're having a wonderful adventure. These are memories that are going to be with you for the rest of your life, and I know you're very grateful for everything that's happened, and we're all supporting you over here. Good luck for the rest of the Formula 4 Championship. We'll obviously be following you here on In Pit Lane, and of course for the rest of your career. But for right now, Hugh Barter, thank you very much, and for joining us in Pit Lane.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you to Hugh Barter for joining us from Le Mans. And once again, my apologies for the quality of the audio there. Once again, 100% my fault. Just in the rush to get everything done, didn't put the headphones in. A tip for young players at home: if you're doing a Zoom call or a Skype call, always use headphones. It just makes such a difference. Now, I hope you'll join us again next week. Probably not in the studio, unfortunately. We'll be back here, and but we'll be bringing you all of the news about what's been happening around the world of local and international motorsport. Nürburgring 24 Hours is on this weekend, so that'll give you something to tune into online over the weekend. Also, speaking of online, remember to join us for Full Course Yellow, our after show party here on In Pit Lane, where we just get together and have a bit of a chat, bit of a chinwag about motorsport and other things as well as amuses us at the time. We'd love you to be a part of it as well. Ask questions, make comments, and certainly be a part of that program on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel and In Pit Lane Facebook pages. And remember to like and follow both of them. So until we see you again next week, once again, thanks to Hugh Barter, thanks to you for watching, and we'll see you very soon on In Pit Lane, same time next week. Until then, thanks for joining us. Bye for now.